Broadcast this time. We're in the Western Cape in Hermanus to be precise. Even I can't keep up with where we're going to, but let me hand you over to Sakina. A very good morning to you and your guests.
Well, good morning, Leanne, and thank you so much for tuning in for our Western Cape leg of our election broadcast. And of course, today we're in the seaside town of Hermanus, and the parties, it would seem, have rolled out the heavyweights for us this morning, so it promises to be a good one. And just by way of a bit of background, the seaside town of Hermanus, well known as a whale-watching destination, but of course there's much more going on here and in the province, as we'll get into as we move along. Now, the Western Cape stood at 6.6 million population. That's as of September 2018, and that accounts then for 11.5% of the population of the entire South Africa. And then there are a few other very interesting stats as well from this province. It contributes 13.7% of GDP to the South African fiscus. Social grant recipients, 1.5 million, or 8.94% of the people in this province are recipients of social grants. And then also just looking at audit findings, the Western Cape achieved 83% of clean audits. And you can run through some of these stats looking at unemployment, which is always a very, very difficult issue to discuss, and 19.3% by the narrow definition, and as per the expanded definition, 23.1% unemployment in the Western Cape, and much lower than most of the provinces and most of the provinces that we've already visited, but still unacceptably high. And that is a national problem that we will get into. There's lots to discuss. There are many parties, and of course, I'm going to introduce them now and give them all 1 minute to just set the scene, and from there, it's into the issues as per those that we have researched, and also what the audience, of course, have come here to talk about, because it is about the people, it is people-centered and people-driven, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing this morning. All right, let me start by introducing the panel. They'll each have 1 minute to actually just tell us what it is that their party hopes to bring to the electorate here in the Western Cape. And we start off to my immediate left with the Democratic Alliance, Mr. Alan Windy. Good morning.
Mulweni, goeiemorgen, good morning. My name is Alan Windy. I'm the Premier candidate for the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape. And I started off life as an entrepreneur, involved in 10 companies. For the last 10 years, I have been in government, responsible for the economy, for that economy you spoke about. And this province in the last 10 years created more jobs and has better jobs growth than any other province in South Africa. And in actual fact, last year, we reached the milestone in the first quarter of 75% of all jobs in South Africa in this province, 25% in all the other provinces put together. And of course, in this election, the big fight really for me is how do we get crime under control. 1,226 people were murdered in this province in the last 4 months. And of course, that's one thing that we have to devolve power from ANC-run Pretoria, where it comes to SABC, down to a provincial and local level, where we need to be able to deal with crime at that level where it happens, make those decisions. And secondly is, of course, rail. Rail is broken, also run out of Pretoria, run by the ANC at a national level. We need to devolve that power as well. We need to bring it down to local level to fix rail too.
That's your time. Thanks so much. That's the DA's Alan Windy. Moving on to the ANC, Ibrahim Rasool.
Hi, thank you very much. Good morning. I'm Ibrahim Rasool, head of elections of the ANC in the Western Cape. And I think that the ANC in the Western Cape is particularly concerned, and why we are fighting this election, because 10 years ago, we left Mr. Windy and his party with a growth rate of 5.8%. It's now 0.8%. We left the DA with an unemployment rate of 18%. It's now over 20%. We've left them with 20,000 Bambananis fighting crime every day. That has gone. We've left them with a range of EPWP jobs reaching 150,000. That's now an irregular situation. And so I think that what the people need, we left them also, let me tell you, with a housing waiting list of just around 400,000. It's now to 600,000, and more it is growing, because they're allowing farm evictions to take place. They're allowing the implosion of our economy and our social fabric, and the expansion of crime is directly to do with the fact that they've been fighting the police and not fighting the criminals.
Right. And we move on now to good, Patricia DeLille.
Good morning, goeiemorgen molweni, assalamu alaikum. Sakina, we formed good because we want to disrupt politics as usual. People are tired of the old parties and the way they've messed up our country. And therefore, as I drive into Hermanus yesterday and met with the community of Mount Pleasant, Ghost Town, and Swelice, you can just see the big apartheid spatial planning in this town. You see new malls, you see new homes, new second homes, but when you go into the other areas, that's why the solution for good is that we must use public land for public good. There's also a lot of corruption in the waiting list. 22 people that have been allocated houses, other people are in there. And we need to start bringing our people closer to work opportunities. And so we have got a plan to fix South Africa. Right. And we are determined to make sure that we get rid of the old parties. They've served us because of them that the country's in the mess. So please vote for good. We are the alternative.
Moving on to the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, represented this morning by Kenny Bafu.
Good morning, Sakina, and good morning to the viewers at home. Indeed, beautiful CVs from my colleagues. But the only thing that I can say on behalf of the PAC is that 25 years into democracy, I'm proud to say that I am an African, but most importantly, I'm landless. We live in a democracy that is extremely landless, a democracy where African people cannot be proud. And if there's one thing that I want to put an emphasis on, is that when the PAC was formed in 1959, the founding fathers of the PAC sat down and did a thorough analysis of the national question. And the conclusion that they arrived at is that up until the land question is resolved, we will not have true and meaningful democracy. 25 years into our democracy, we are still landless. African people are still jobless. 25%, as we have mentioned earlier on, more than 37% of the youth in this country are unemployed. And as PAC, we say that if there's one party that has got a proven track record of being consistent on issues, is none other than the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, Izwelethu.
Thank you. Moving on to the Land Party. And a very hearty welcome there to the Land Party, and represented this morning by Mr. Kobani Nzongana.
Good morning, Sakina, and to the viewers at home. Good evening, good morning to everyone is there. I'm the leader of the Land Party. I've worked for the Department of Correctional Services for 15 years. I grew up in this community. We as the Land Party, what we promise South Africans, in fact what we want to achieve, is to make sure that first of all, we bring political stability in our country. We make sure that we build a very strong economy, an economy that will be conducive, that will be providing living wage instead of minimum wage. Because currently we've got a country that is racially divided because of racial politics. We are aware that most political parties that are out there, they are just preaching racism and all that stuff. So we want to be a party that unites all South Africans, regardless of color and religion and creed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And it's on to ATM now, represented by Mzwanele Manyi.
Good morning, Sakina, and good morning to viewers at home and the audience here. Mzwanele Manyi is my name, from the government in waiting, the African Transformation Movement. This is a self-funding, faith-based movement that is values-driven. We want to decolonize the education of this country, want to decolonize the economy of this country, want to take it away from the current neoliberal, imperialistic setup and put it into a development economy. Our ideology is about humanism. We believe in one human race, one God. We are arguing that the issue of race-based approach takes us back to apartheid days. We want to use disadvantagedness as a criteria for development. We want to introduce a capital punishment which is based on justice system. We want expropriation of land without compensation for public good. We want to ensure that when we deal with land, it's not just agriculture, but we must also deal with residential, industrial, commercial, and also marine. We are saying once empowered, always empowered is a flawed concept, and it must be done away with. When we take government, we'll repeal triple PFA, we'll review PFMA, we'll review CIDB, we'll strengthen competition law, we'll tighten company law to make sure that there's no more illicit flows of our funds in this country. We'll reduce personal tax, we'll increase company tax, we'll also make sure that the wealth tax is increased. So for us, we are saying African transformation movement is ready to clean up the mess that has been happening in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manyi. And next to Mr. Manyi is Mr. Furlong Christians from the ACDP.
Good morning. Goeiemorgen, Molweni. My name is Furlong Christians. I am the Premier candidate for the ACDP in the Western Cape. We must say that the Western Cape and the country is at a crossroad. Nothing has really changed in people's lives. And I think with the ACDP, we believe that we will usher in godly governance on the 8th of May 2019. People are sick and tired of politicking, empty promises, and we offer credible leaders, God-fearing leaders, leaders that will be servants to the people. So we believe in servant leadership. We have a plan. We have identified 7 giants that's stopping us for a prosperous South Africa. So what we believe, we are a Bible-based Christian party, and we will advance godly governance on the 8th of May. We are confident that we are taking over on the 8th of May. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christians. Moving on to COPE, and represented today by Bishop Louis Green.
Good morning, Sakina and the people of South Africa. Good morning, listeners. It is indeed a great honor and a privilege for me to be part of this conversation this morning. I am representing the Congress of the People. We are based on the Freedom Charter, and of course we strongly believe in the Constitution of South Africa and maintaining the constitutional values. As far as the Western Cape is concerned, I am a product of the Western Cape, was raised in District 6, moved to Bonteheuwel, and if you look at the townships of Bonteheuwel, you see violence, you see gangsterism. As a pastor and as a minister, how many times have I buried gang members in Bonteheuwel, shooting, killing, and not even the police is able to come into those townships. And we want to change that, Sakina. We are tired of the violence, the bloodshed. We're tired of the poverty. We're tired of people standing in queues. We're tired of the breakdowns as far as the trains are concerned. You know, people are standing, going to jobs. Trains is an hour late, 2 hours late. We need to change that. And as far as the economy of the country is concerned, our people don't have jobs. They resort to drugs. They buy and sell drugs. So it's time for change. And the Congress of the People is our vehicle to change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cope. And the ATA, represented by Mr. Ngeba Enge.
Good morning, Sakina, viewers at home, and everybody sitting here. My name is Ngeba Enge, as you have said, representative of Alliance for Transformation for All. ATA says that we have sent people to Parliament for 25 years, and up until now we've been waiting patiently to see changes happening, but nothing has happened. As ATA, we are saying that the yard that is in Dabeni, where the vans of taxi owners are impounded, must come to an end. The harassment from traffic officers of the quantums on the road must also stop. And another thing that we are saying is the crime rate that is very high. So that crime rate, we need to explore some other avenues to make sure that the crime rate comes to an end. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. And of course, we will also be joined by the EFF after the break. But for now, we're going to go to that break. And when we come back, we're getting straight into the issues here in Hermanus.